Welcome to a very not safe for work Star Wars podcast. We're going to call it From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast to have the original host replaced by Kathleen Kennedy in a last-ditch effort to make the show better. Only we never got the memo. Who are the hosts, you ask? I'm going to tell you. I'm Jason, the Ginger Jedi guy, broadcasting live from inside Wookiee Poo Studios. I'm not alone, though, so please allow me to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers. See that? Barely a pregnant pause, so I didn't catch Cole off guard.
Nary a pregnant
Who's
pause.
Cole? Neighbor Cole from Corellia. The man allegedly offered to save Porkin's life by introducing him to the keto diet. Unfortunately, this was the same day of the Death Star run.
His ketones were rising, man. I had him going.
You killed him. Maybe it was you that killed him.
Yeah, it could have been me. First question. You're looking to replace me with a female co-host? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't even know what you're getting at.
Okay. All right. You're just gonna go denial on that one. Okay. And then secondly,
wait, hold on.
He. I think the joke was that Kathleen Kennedy was replacing all of us.
Yes.
Not
all
just
three
you.
of us.
I will
we
not
did not
be
get
replaced.
the memo.
Yeah.
So we're still doing the show. 46 episodes in. Deep, as they say.
Nuances are not my strong suit, guys.
Okay. Welcome to the show, Cole.
Thanks for having me. And also, speaking of not safe for work, we could maybe go with a parental advisory, explicit lyrics type of a
I like
theme,
that.
considering we like to use the generic themes for our podcast. Right? Like from a certain point of view. Okay. I just thought I'd full circle.
I liked it.
Black and white explicit lyrics.
That beautiful voice you hear in your ears is,
Who is that?
Our third micer coming in hot from the hyperspace lanes. We like to call him Matt, or Darth Matthews on the show, but welcome to the show, Matt. How you doing,
Former blurg farmer and impressionist.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't read that.
You missed that. Happy belated Life Day.
Yes, good call.
Life Day was 2 days ago, so I hope you guys did something really, really big to celebrate.
And happy belated Life Day to you, too, as well.
I donated
on
to
your
the
red
Wookiee Freedom
I
Fund.
didn't send you guys the cake, my daughter, for my surprise birthday. That was 3 weeks after my birthday. They threw this big party, and the day before, the cake showed up, so my daughter had to show it to me, and I was like, I know something's going on here.
You don't need the caveat.
The
It was 3 weeks past my actual date of birth. Who cares?
Well, because people know when my birthday is, and they're like, well, why was your surprise party so late? People know.
No one knows.
That's a genius plan, though. Do it after.
Right,
So the disappointment sets in. Nobody did anything for my goddamn birthday.
I'm so
Surprise, ungrateful dick.
Listen to the latest episode of Deconstructed Dad. You'll hear the whole story. But this cake is a foot tall. I mean, at least a foot. I cut a slice, and then I cut that slice into 6 pieces and fed people with it. That's how big this cake was. It was pretty badass. I'll send you a picture of it.
Awesome.
I don't remember why I brought that up, but hello.
Hello. If anybody wants to find any of the stuff about our show, you can go to FromACertainPointAskew.com, and you can find us on Twitter at FACPAPod, and please email the show, FACPAPod@gmail.com. We are also part of the Podawan Podcast Network, at Podawans on Twitter, and we just released an episode that was a collaborative effort that not apparently everybody was invited to, and they're still mad about it. But we do have a little bit of fun there. It was the editing, I will say, for that was quite a chore. But I think the episode turned out well.
Do you give a shit about Matt's editing for that? Or no, I don't.
Is he here?
So quiet. Anyway, what's on the show today, guys?
Could you tell him that...
Oh, are we not speaking to Matt right now?
Well, I'm not. Because I listened to the episode.
Oh, did you?
Of the Podawans Network.
Did he talk shit about us?
No, here's what it is. I hear a lot of laughter and a lot of fun happening over there. And there's a couple times where I hear Matt howling, and I'm like, you know what? He laughs differently with other men.
Shit.
Yeah. Yep.
He never has a second cup of coffee at home. Like, it's that kind of deal. I laugh all the time on the show.
I was... No.
Not like that.
I see,
Not like that, Matt.
I see Matt's face all the time back. And I'm always like, did that one go over? Does he like that one? Is that going to make the final cut?
It's like the wife that, she's not being sexually satisfied in your relationship in the bedroom, so she seeks that elsewhere, but she could actually get that at home if she would just ask for it.
Right.
You'd wear a fetish mask if she asked you to.
I'd wear any mask.
I know.
In fact, I request it.
The man of masks. Many masks.
I request that I wear a mask.
You're like Leonardo DiCaprio, the man in the iron mask.
Maybe next time we record a collaboration episode, you guys, we can ease you in by doing like a cuckold thing. You guys
what's
can
on the
watch
show
me record
today?
it with them.
We got to sit in the corner quietly.
Exactly.
Touching ourselves.
He's doing great.
Actually, no, never mind. I want to play the heel and just talk shit, but all those guys are really cool and lady. So it was a well done episode. But it was I'll be the heel to this guy right here.
Yeah,
So
you
it was
can rip on me. Don't rip on me.
Did you record that? You recorded that before we recorded our show, or just after?
I recorded it just before our show. So here's what I did.
So the bed was still warm, basically, is what you're saying. When we
It
jumped
was.
in,
Hey, we got the wet spot.
I felt there was.
Let me tell you what. You're gonna listen to the episode, and almost everything he says, he could have like took out of our show and replaced it in that show.
I'm gonna walk in. I say, I sense the presence of another man. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Presence I haven't felt in a long time since last time.
No, I was looking at kind of like my little notes for each of those, and I purposely kind of separated some things out a little bit so that I had some different takes to share on different shows. And then anything that I did not share, that I didn't get around to sharing on the other show, I thought maybe I can work that into our show. And no, that's not sloppy seconds. That's just me finding a way to satisfy more than one listener base potentially.
Cool. Could you please tell Matt to shut up?
What's on the goddamn show today?
Matt, shut your mouth now.
Yeah. We have a great show. Come on.
Daddy's talking. On the show today, we've got a question of the week.
Why are you daddy?
I don't know. We got a question of the week. Deconstruction of the first Death Star an inside job? Question mark.
Or destruction, but that's cool.
You can deconstruct that.
Oh, look, I've had 2 beers. Okay, just to let everyone in on the know-how here. We did the interview before we did the episode. So, look, I'm just covering my ass.
Will you tell Matt I've had a few beers?
Yeah, yeah, Matt.
I think we should literally do the entire show where you say something to me and I tell it to Matt. Yeah. I'll be the intermediate.
Oh, you're here? Will you tell Matt coming up after the question of the week? We've got news.
Matt should just turn his camera to the toilet. I don't want to see you guys anymore. I'm done. I'm pouting.
I'm just going to point it at you.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to you. You'll talk to him. Relay back. And the news, we've got D23. It started today. We've got Sabine Wren Casting. That just came in like hours before we recorded. We got a chat with Annaleis from Skywalker Sound. You're going to hear in a little bit. We just recorded that. A lot of fun. Skywalker's own. George Lucas's niece, if you will. That's not true.
Sure.
We got wow. We had one Maul Bag earlier today, and then I put out a couple of like, hey bastards, send us an email, and we got one from Mike Laybourne, and then we got one from
I'm glad that everyone now like is channeling my hatred to him.
Yeah.
Like it's becoming a group thing.
No, for real though. Shout out Mike Laybourne. Thank you for the email. And Jeannie, I know yours. I don't know who the third one is, so it's a surprise. And then we're gonna wrap the show up with a FACPAtoid, not 1, but 2 from yours truly. So I guess without further ado, because this is going to be a long show, and we're running out of beer, so we're going to get another one. You know, I'm waiting to the part where we drink enough where we black out, and Matt has to just carry the rest of it, and his spreadsheet's not ready for that.
I may have gone too far into it, drinking on a podcast or two. So yeah, I understand.
We've all been there.
It happens.
All right, let's go into the question of the week, and this one is from Ty from the 213 podcast, who apparently listens to the show and wanted to play along.
He does. So this is kind of a Maul Bag question of the week hybrid. So technically we got 4 Maul Bags, really. But I turned this into our question of the week because I thought it was fun. So this is a meme that he shared that was from Reddit earlier this year. And essentially it's getting into was the destruction of the first Death Star an insurance scam? So I shared the image with you, and I'll tweet it out when we post the episode. But go ahead.
Oh, didn't we share this in our chat about a year ago?
Did we?
I know I've seen this before, so I thought maybe this was long ago before we were doing the show. But when I saw this, I thought this was something one of us had traded before.
Yeah, we might have because some of those we do share some of those memes, and I don't remember if we did or not. But in this shot, and like I said, I'll tweet it out. It's 3 stormtroopers sitting around back drinking blue milk, I guess, with their helmets on.
Yeah, and it looks like toy stormtroopers. Like someone took a picture of their 3 toys.
It actually does. Now that you say that, it does look like that, doesn't it? So the text of it says it's them having a conversation, and it says it was an insurance scam. I mean, come on, the guy who blew it up is the dude's son. Like, I know they say they're estranged, but they were clearly in on it together for the insurance money. There were delays during construction, and Vader knew it had design flaws. It was never going to make back its investment, so they staged a, quote, rebel raid, and Vader was the only one to survive. It's so obvious.
This sounds like a deleted scene from Clerks.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
100%.
Now, since this is the question of the week, I will do a deep dive on that. So
No scissoring this week.
No scissoring.
No.
We're a scissor-free zone.
Well, the show's young. We could
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've been here for 3 beers at least.
So's Daddy.
Stop calling yourself Daddy. I'm taking umbrage with that. It makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Daddy Skywalker.
Eat too, Papa.
Yeah.
See, they wouldn't make that. They wouldn't make back their investment.
You think the insurance company didn't have enough to?
No, I was like, they wouldn't make back its investment. There was a planet killer. The thing was fucking doing its job. They were like, how long was the life of the Death Star? It blew up fucking all
Well, it wasn't already built. It was his first shot.
Well, the third one was not built, or the second one was not built for Jedi, right? It was in construction.
I think this is a little bit of a conflating of the 2 Death Stars. I think most of it's meant to be for the first one, the way he says only Vader survived and his son blew it up.
Right.
But
That's
he's
what I was
also
referring
talking about delays and stuff, which was more of a thing that came into play for the second Death Star. But either way, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's funny, and I know we're supposed to just laugh with it, but like I figured it was the question of the week. But I thought
it is.
Like you're gonna have the planet blowing up ability. You have a proprietary fucking technology. You're gonna fucking circle the galaxy and blow up planets at your fucking leisure. I think your investment there is strong. So if we're on the Shark Tank, I'm investing. So I'm going to need 25% of your company and 5% of perpetuity.
Even after the first explosion, you're like, you know what? We got something here.
Because
that really was. It was like the patent.
Well, they
right?
mentioned
it was
the
first build.
They mentioned it'd take a whole fleet to destroy a planet like that, and then they're like, well,
it just took a couple X-wings and Porkins, who you put on a diet.
I wish he would have survived. I would have liked to have been his life coach.
I know you would have.
I could have got Porkins.
I want a whole episode of like you read your journals about being Porkins' life coach.
Start a podcast. Neighbor Cole and Porkins. Deep dive. I could use him as my my guinea pig.
Yeah.
All right, Porkins. You're gonna only have a crate dragon for an entire week.
Ooh.
We'll get some leafy.
I hear
greens.
that shit's delicious.
I do too.
Yeah, it's just a funny meme, but it's like I think you have a point though. That why, unless there's something else hidden behind there, why would you get rid of this device that has had so much success in destroying so much? I mean, it seems a little odd.
Well, and they didn't. So now here's a question: does anybody know? Were they like, was the Empire like, you know what? We're so cocksure of this Death Star. This is all it's going to be? Or were they already like, okay, we're 99% done. We're going to go do a test run on Yavin, or where the fuck do they decide to shoot first?
Scarif.
Yeah, okay.
Going back to Rogue One, Scarif
yeah, you're
is
right.
the first
You're
place they use it.
You're absolutely right. So now are they already building Death Star number 2?
Pardon me, folks, because somebody's yelling right now. I bet somewhere in the ether. Jeddah was the first use of it. It was Scarif was second. Sorry, I want to get that right.
No, and that's fair. I mean, that's what we're here for. Is we're here to, just kind of ask the questions. We know the answers.
We ask the tough questions on this show.
Yeah,
that's right. What was your question, Jay? I missed the question.
Were they already building the second one before the first one was destroyed?
That's a good question, because it's not long. It's only 4 years later that the second one is, still under construction, but they've come a long way with that thing.
Because the Emperor's always got a backup plan. So it's not like, you blew that motherfucker up, start over.
I was going to say, where would you get a timeline to fit that together? Because it goes... Was there any mention in Rebels? I don't think there was a single mention in Rebels of the ultimate... Right?
There was.
Yeah, there was.
Okay.
The Geonosian bug.
Yep.
Remember he was drawing the circles in the sand?
Circle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And that was a reference to it.
Okay. But that's a reference to...
So that could be the first
one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, correct.
So then how long did it take from there to build... How long was it from that episode in Rebels to A New Hope where they had it? And that would kind of give you a basis of how long it takes to build a Death Star.
Well, they get a little faster with the second one. It's like McDonald's when they start building them. They're like, you know what? We got a fucking blueprint. We know this works. And they just start, instead of, remodeling a McDonald's, they just tear it down and build it back up in a week.
They got rid of the union out there. And then next thing you know, the Death Star's fucking, the productivity is going through the roof. The assembly line.
There's a McDonald's on every floor of the Death Star.
Every floor?
Yeah.
And a Starbucks.
I think it was 2 years, roughly, if I'm getting the timeline right, on when the Geonosian was sharing that. What was his name? Click Clack? When he was sharing that information.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was like, I think it kind of was meant to be almost a finished product at that point, because they had been building it above Geonosis.
Yeah, because even like in Attack of the Clones, when Kenobi was taken and he's on Geonosis, right? They had like design. Everything. Yeah, it was like almost, it was the secret they were keeping that it was built.
They just dropped it on the planet and put a bunch of brush around it.
They'll never see
Death
it.
Star?
Nothing to see here.
They park it on a giant planet.
No, they just make it look like a planet. They just put
there you go.
They just had
Dress it
Sabine
up.
like spray paint it so it looks.
Yeah, right.
It looks like a
They paint it
Nothing to
black
see
with
here.
some white dots. It just looks like part of space.
Is that the weather ball? That's
Do
nice.
not park it in a hyperspace lane.
People run right into it. Bong. What the hell is that?
It's like a bird. It's like a bird flying into a slider door.
Yeah.
He goes, bong. Well, there wasn't anything on our star maps. That was the same.
Thank you, Ty.
Yeah. Thank you, Ty.
Oh, he had a little caveat at the end there too.
Well, I wrote that. I said, if you or someone you love was involved in an explosion on the Death Star, you may be entitled to compensation. Please call the law offices of Decken, Sterner, and Blurg, only 2 doors down from Tashi Station.
Handy.
If you're in town to pick up some power converters,
Now,
stop by.
I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I Googled, are there lawyers in Star Wars?
And that's what came up?
The first 2 names,
Well,
Decken
Blurg
and Sterner,
doesn't,
are lawyer. Well, I had to throw Blurg in there.
Sure,
Come on.
of course.
You know?
What were the first 2?
Decken and Sterner. They were lawyers or defenders in certain. There was a couple of books where they had stories that involved some type of legal things.
Could you imagine a Blurg defending you in a court of law? That's all it does. Just stands there with a little tie on.
What? A clip on?
Hanging off the side. The defense rests.
Okay.
Also, it's shit in the room.
The court reporter is just like, I don't know what you want me to write here. Growl, audible growl.
What's really good is the Mandalorian's like, it took me 7 minutes to train one of these, and now they're lawyers?
The Mandalorian comes in and he's like, I know this is a corporate copyright type of a thing. This is my lawyer here. He's going to do my negotiating on my behalf.
He's my agent, Mr. Blurg.
Law Wars.
There you go.
All right, let's move on to the news. So, yes, D23.
I wanted to, hold on, we got to say,
sorry.
if you or someone you know that you love, if you want to call the law offices, please call 65.
Oh my God, what's going to happen when you call that number?
Why would you do that?
Whose number is that? Is that Cole's?
You're literally putting my phone number out?
He'll edit it out.
I'll edit it out.
That better get edited out.
I was wondering if you were like, oh yeah, call that number, because who knows their own phone number? So,
I will fucking break
I would have let him know either way, but
All right, news. So D23 started today, and it's running through the weekend. And if you were, like us, a little saddened by the lack of Star Wars content that came out on Disney Plus Day, and we're hoping maybe something might come from D23, you're probably going to be disappointed, potentially, because it looks like from their schedule. I mean, in the past, they have dropped some stuff. They've had some special looks dropped. Like, I think there was 1 year where, was it last year, the year, or whatever, a couple of years ago when Ewan came on stage and said, am I going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again? Yes, like he said that on stage. I think that was a D23 event.
I think you're right, yeah.
When you look at the schedule, the programming schedule, I think tomorrow, we're recording this on a Friday, I think on the Saturday there is something that's all about the Galactic Star Cruiser that Ashley Eckstein is hosting.
And who's she the voice of?
She's the voice of Ahsoka, yeah.
There you go.
Ahsoka.
So that'll be a fun little look, but that's the only thing that's on the schedule. There's nothing. So now, it doesn't mean that they can't just drop some surprise on us, but at this point, I don't want to get my hopes up or anything.
Disney seems to be real, like if you look at their pattern, they announce one thing at a time. So they are all in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this when I was listening to your guys' Podawan, and you guys were discussing things.
Podawan.
Yeah, and you guys went back to, expecting so much from the fuck did we just discuss?
Disney Plus Day.
Disney Plus Day, yeah. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, I guess it makes sense because one, Disney, they already know they have us hook, line, and sinker, right?
Right.
So I don't see them. Maybe during Book of Boba Fett, they drop a trailer, like at the end of an episode or something. But I mean, they're not begging for subscribers. People know what's coming, So when they start promoting something, they only need to know a month in advance to get that new subscriber. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see anything. Maybe, man, I'd love to see something before Christmas, but Disney holds things to the chest, man.
They're in no rush, and as we've said on this show, we don't want overexposure. We don't want like a series of. Here's an old reference for you.
We do.
We don't want a series of Dragnet trailers. I don't know if you remember the movie Dragnet. But when
Tom
it
Hanks
was
and Dan Aykroyd?
Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd, when it was going to come out, they showed every money punchline in the entire film in like 6 trailers, and you went to the movie and you're like, oh, that was it. Everything else is just filler. So I don't want them to show us too much, but man, you just feel like there's just little subtle teases that they could give us that would sure get the juices going.
Right. Like you said, you were talking about like some type of image or a little something, and I don't know. Like they're. I mean, look at how long they did Mandalorian season 2. What was it? 4 weeks, 6 weeks before it launched. They held on to it. It was sometime in October. Yeah. So.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
You don't want to blow your load in the trailer.
Well, and maybe their investor day in December they decide to throw something up too. So.
Could be, yeah. And they like to do those special looks behind the scenes things as well that kind of give you a taste of it without showing you any of the actual show itself necessarily.
Well, they know
so maybe we'll
got
get something like that.
They know they got us by the short hairs. They're like, we can release whatever we want to these fucking slugs, and they'll gobble it up. And they're right.
Well, because like right now, us who do podcasts, us who are the fans, us who know shit's coming to Disney Plus, we're the ones that are like, stomping, and we're like, why aren't you giving us stuff?
Right.
And they don't need to promote to us.
No.
Because they've already got us. It's the other people, and when they kick in marketing, and why do they need to market 4 different Star Wars things when they've got Book of Boba Fett coming up? They'll just throw all the money into marketing. They'll get you for that, and then go from there.
They'll go after the base that isn't already like fanatical nerds in their mom's basement like us.
And in the meantime, they just mute all of our Twitter feeds, and so they don't have to hear us bitching.
Right.
Silencing us.
You're in Daddy's basement.
Oh,
say it one more again. Let me get this pencil through his neck.
Okay.
That's the episode title might be "You're Not My Daddy." The funny thing about the Star Cruiser, by the way, so that thing has like sold out the first 4 months it's going to be open. I guess it opens in March.
Jeez.
And despite those prices, clearly they're not a deterrent because people are just lining up to get into this place. And so there is actually a contest right now to win a trip for 4 to go on the Star Cruiser just before it opens to the public. So like kind of a smaller group.
Yeah.
And so it's the grand prize. I think you get like 3 days or 4 days, 3 nights, something like that, in Disney World. And I was, of course, I have entered this. It's at a site called BringHomeTheBounty.com. But I have to tell you that if I win, I will be disowned by my family if I take you instead of them. I'm just going to put that out there now.
Well, that's okay. We've separated, and we're here to tell you there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, fine. We'll put in our own entries, and we're not going to take you if we win.
Could you imagine? It's for the podcast. Sorry, honey, I promised. Like, yeah, okay, have fun.
Yeah, but does your lady friend, I can see your sons maybe, but is your lady friend really going to fight you about going to stay at the Galactic? Or we're like, well, you can't leave. It's a whole experience.
No matter how much you want to leave, you can't.
The consultant's like, Dad, I walked you through all of Clone Wars. This is how you're going to do it?
Exactly.
This is how you're going to do me?
Yeah. Well, son, now I'm going to walk you through the Galactic Star Cruiser. Tune into episodes 51 through 50.
Let's be real.
Yeah, I'll describe it in detail.
Yeah. I got pictures. Let us near his children, I guarantee it.
So yeah, do that. You can enter up till December 14th. You can enter, I think, every day. So, probably 0 chance of winning, but, fun, whatever.
What was the name of the site?
BringHomeTheBounty.com.
Okay.
So go check that shit out. A little side note, I think also I noticed that there was like a breakdown of what you win. It also said the grand prize winner also gets to do a meet and greet with the High Republic authors. So you guys could pull Charles Soule aside and be like, yo, Chuck, why the fucking massive build-up in The Light of the Jedi? Why did you do that to us?
Yeah, Chuck, it doesn't take 17 chapters to blow up some shit. All right? And explain the hyperspace lane.
Giving us Star Wars blue balls, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Although, you know what? Like, I am compelled to finish that and move forward because some of the stuff I've seen, I was like, oh, there's some really interesting stuff in there.
He's like, you write a fucking book then.
I know.
Oh, maybe I will.
I already have. You just don't know about it. Okay, the other news item is, and like you said, this is just hot off the press. This is today. So we're pretty certain, based on all the rumors and scuttlebutt, that Ezra and Sabine are going to be in the Ahsoka series, and potentially Thrawn as well, of course, because of what she said in The Mandalorian season 2. And so there's been a bunch of news of casting coming out for different parts. Mina Massoud for the role of Ezra potentially, and now they're saying that this was from Deadline that the Sabine role has been cast, and it's Natasha Liu Bordizzo, and she is a Chinese Australian actress who apparently is quite trained in Taekwondo and karate. So she will fit into that role quite nicely.
And she'll look nice in that role.
Yeah, she will.
Yeah.
She's a handsome woman.
She's
She's a handsome woman.
They are anticipating
very old-timey. That was nice.
They're anticipating, I guess, that they're going to start filming March, I believe. Yeah. So that would make you think that we would get that in the spring or the summer, maybe, of 23, perhaps.
Now, here's something that triggered me today.
I can see Sabine Wren in this girl.
Yeah, so can I.
Whew.
There's a few images. If you look through and other people were posting things, they were posting different images of her. And some of them was like,
Side by
oh, that's
sides.
like, yeah, it's almost dead on. And a little older, too, so it fits. But what hit me today, now let's say we're a few years into this, right? Do you think that we're going to get either like the visual representation of Kanan played by Freddie Prinze Jr., or do you think that we'll hear his voice like talking to Ezra?
Ooh, I didn't think about him being involved because I was thinking about everybody else and Hera and all that. I didn't think about Kanan. That's because
why would they recast Kanan? I think that they would use Freddie Prinze Jr.
They could. I mean, they could make him into that character and make him look similar to what we saw as far as the animated series.
Because didn't he when Rey was hearing voices? Didn't she hear him? Yeah.
Okay.
He's just thinking because Ezra and Sabine and potentially maybe, who knows, at some point Hera are involved, then you might get some sort of Kanan nod. What'd you say? Sorry, Jay?
Usually they hear their master at some
I was
point,
just wondering what the timeline was going to be. Like
years
where
later.
Going to be.
This is
Rebels.
This is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so about 9 years after Rebels wraps up.
Yeah, which we're going to be covering starting next week.
I didn't know if he had seen all of. Have you seen all of Rebels?
I know how it ends. I've not seen it, but I know how it ends.
You asked a question about Kanan, so I was just wondering.
I know what ends with him too. Yeah.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, don't say anything. We got people who haven't seen all of Rebels yet. We'll just leave that out.
Yes. Yep. I just didn't want to blow my load.
Yeah, I had another question. I don't know.
Question.
I think it was just, will we see him?
That's a good question. I didn't think about him, honestly. I could definitely see that happening. That would be awesome.
I think you're going to get a voice.
Because didn't he come back he came back from Bad Batch, right?
He did the voice for Bad Batch because everybody's like, a little deeper voice there for that
sound
kid.
Like a young kid. Oh, my question was when Rey was hearing all the voices at the end of the last the Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker, she heard him, right?
She did.
Right. So yeah, Kanan's around. Freddie Prinze Jr. He's got a job. He's like, Sarah, Michelle, Geller, I gotta go do a job.
All three of you.
Hit those pregnant pauses really good.
And then she's thinking, wait a minute, is there any room for me to be involved somehow?
Yeah.
He's like,
seventh sister, right? She was seventh?
Seventh sister, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
She's saying to herself, I can't hardly wait.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the wrong movie.
It's close.
Well, that's
good.
Jennifer
You're in the
Love
right
Hewitt.
ballpark.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's not Can't Hardly Wait?
No.
Oh, that's
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
All right,
Jennifer
I'm
Love
sorry.
Hewitt. It's another
Sarah Michelle
three-namer.
Gellar is Buffy.
The Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
I Know What
she's
You Did
also-
Last Summer.
Yes.
Dangerous Liaisons.
Which has Jennifer Love Hewitt in it.
What was the Dangerous Liaisons?
They're all in
remake?
the same movie.
Nope, false. God damn it. How'd you...
With Reese Witherspoon and Ryan Phillippe.
Ryan Felipe.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Nope, it's...
Cruel Intentions.
Dangerous Liaisons
Cruel Intentions.
yes.
Thank
That was
you.
called?
Yeah, who's got props now?
You do.
There you go.
Give it up.
We've got that. Next up, we have an interview with Annaleis from Skywalker Sound, and it's a really great chat, so we'll play that now. It is my great pleasure to introduce one of my favorite people who we've come to know through podcasting. She and her husband, Niall, is it? They had a great show called Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks, which has been on a bit of a hiatus. I'm still holding out hope that it comes back at some point.
We are.
Even more importantly to our listeners, this is a gal who works at Skywalker Ranch, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So welcome, Annaleis.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
And this is a Star Wars podcast, of course. We were just kind of joking about it off air. You do have a little bit of history with Star Wars podcasting because once when I was down visiting you and Neil, we kind of tore apart the Star Wars hour on Podtoberfest. Probably like 3 years ago.
I think it was 2017 or 18. I want to say it was your first year was 17, right?
Years.
I believe, my first year. I started podcasting right after I got divorced. So, 2017. Correct.
We don't need to get into that.
Let's talk about that.
I didn't say anything. I thought we were just going to gloss right over that.
We'll go right on.
Keep on going.
We'll
Keep on going.
Right into the dark side.
Okay, this is the first time he's ever brought it up. Let's get into this.
Stop it, you guys. Stop it. It's not about me.
She was dark side. You were light side. It's just the way it worked out.
Well,
It's awesome to have you on. I did want to start first with Skywalker Ranch, which is where you work. And I kind of just want to get an idea for our listeners too, like how you ended up working there and what you do for them.
I just want to say this is where my jealousy kicks in. Go ahead and go.
Okay, ready and go. Like all good or bad decisions, it was because of a guy.
Nice.
That's how I base all my decisions.
Right.
His name is George.
Right. Whoopsie. Super whoopsie. No, so I was dating a guy in LA at the time, and he was an engineer, a music engineer, and he also worked at like Capitol Records, did a lot of studio work, and he started doing a lot of like wiring and engineering for studios. And I had been working at some department stores. I was like a manager at a Macy's, and I got in this really bad car accident and I was stuck at home for a while. And he was kind of overwhelmed with work, and he just kind of said one day, "Hey, can you help me out with some prep for this job that I have?" And I was like in my pajamas, and I was like, "Sure. Okay, cool." And very long story short, I ended up being better at it than he was.
Oops.
And so we started kind of like a team, and I started making cables and wiring for a electronics store. I started making like guitar cables and like cable harnesses for recording equipment and things like that. And then we had decided to move back north and be closer to family. And he had gotten a job at Skywalker, and they were in the middle of a big redo and expansion of their studios. And they said, "Hey, we are super in a tight bind. Does anybody know anybody that can do wiring work?" And my ex now was basically like, "I know someone, but it's kind of awkward because it's a significant other. And, it's like kind of like my girlfriend can sing." And so nobody wants to do that, right? No,
she can play bass. Put her in,
right,
yeah.
exactly.
Put her in the band. Exactly.
So what's ended up happening is he mentioned it a couple of times, and then finally someone was like, "Yeah, great, bring her in." And so I went in and I talked to them for like, I don't know, a half an hour, and they walked me around and they said, "Great, can you start tomorrow?"
That's awesome.
And then I've been there, and that was like in 1996. So I've been there for, I don't know, like 25 years or something like that.
So you were there before the prequels.
Yes.
I like how you I just went in there, had an hour interview. Not like I went to Mecca and
no,
was blown
not at all.
away
Not
by
at all.
everything.
I was basically self-taught. Like I just started doing more and more studio work on my own, and when I was living in LA, and that's when I was doing the cables for that store. And then I got offered the job at Skywalker, and it was not an official job at the time. It was like a project basis, like, "Hey, we're in a tight bind. We need people who can do this. Can you start tomorrow?" And I think it was, kind of like test on the fly. Like they were told I could do the job, which was good enough for them. But then obviously they would watch me and, like, "Oh, okay, cool, great." And then at the end of it, I was offered a full-time position. And then I've been there ever since. Basically, I did take a little break for a while, and I moved to Portland and did some other fun things, but also did independent work in between. I did the initial original install of the Pixar building.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and I did that as an independent contractor, obviously not for Skywalker, but, and then I did some other things, like I did
mega
the Wrath
churches.
of God. Yeah, I did a mega church, the Wrath of God 2000 in Lodi.
Wrath of God?
That's what I just call it, because like there's a church in Lodi that hired a crew to redo their sound system, and they have like this whole automated sound system with speakers hanging from the ceiling and a baptismal pool that opens from the stage. And I was just like, "What are we doing here? Like, I don't know how much money you people have right now."
Wow.
Like,
The power,
oh my God.
the power of Christ was compelling you there. That's crazy.
Yeah, so we just jokingly refer to it as the Wrath of God 2000 because like we're just like don't know what we're doing right now. Anyway, so long story short, I do this weird thing where I'm technically a wire technician / installer, and so I build and maintain studios, whether they're recording, mixing music studios, or post-production audio for films, is what I do now. But it's all high-end audio stuff, and I work for a team of engineers that design, and I kind of build and maintain.
Yeah, and the building you're in, that technology building. Let's talk about so when I was down there visiting you, I guess that would have been like we said 4 years ago.
Right.
You were nice enough to give me a tour, and
because we're friends.
because we're friends, and it's an amazing place. Like it legitimately is a ranch. Like I think some people might think, oh, is it more like almost like a corporate campus type thing? Not in the least. It is.
Right.
Has very few buildings. It's this huge, expansive piece of beautiful land. Your Instagram posts are like, I'm on my lunch break, and it's like this beautiful shot of this landscape.
The vineyards, yeah,
right next to where you work. So it's really cool. But the building you're in, which is where all the actual studios are, it's such an interesting place. You're walking around these halls, and there's all these like this great like posters and artwork up of all these different movies you've seen, of course, a million times. It's so quiet.
Right. You don't see anybody, right?
Yeah, you don't see
anybody, right? Because they're all little minions working in their rooms, working away. And it's all soundproof, so you can't hear anything.
Exactly. It almost feels like there's nobody there. And then you'll open a door, and then just boom, your hair gets blown back by the sound. It's like, it's incredible. It's such a unique place. That entire campus or entire ranch is unique. But that building in particular, you just would have no idea what people are doing in there. You have zero idea until you actually go in one of these rooms.
Right.
I just thought it was so cool.
I mean, I don't want to speak for George, but I'm pretty sure that was his whole plan. It looks beautiful. I mean, to the point where he's like moved some of the like roads and the lake and things like that to have like a better view. And like if he didn't like a wall somewhere because it obstructed a view or didn't look aesthetically pleasing, we would move a wall.
Hold on. Are you saying George moved a lake?
I believe it's a man-made lake. Yeah.
He's like the Dutton from Yellowstone. He moved the lake.
Every 10 years he's out on the front porch. He's like, you know what? It's not working for me anymore.
Guys, put it back.
And guess what? George, it's George's land. And if George wants that lake moved to the side, guess what we're doing? We're moving that lake to the side.
Yeah.
What baby wants, baby gets. That's
right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was funny, too, because when I was there, your buddy Ninja,
Super Ninja.
Yeah, she was working in her studio there,
right?
And she showed me something, like kind of showed this clip of something, and we were watching it, and I could just feel the disappointment in her voice when we got done watching what she showed me. It was Marvel related, and I asked like really stupid questions because I was even less versed in Marvel then. She was just like, oh, like I just showed that to the wrong guy. He's not, he doesn't even know what's going on. Sorry, Ninja. I really did
appreciate it. I think she knew you appreciated her efforts, though. I mean,
it was pretty awesome.
She is a rock star, and she wanted to, show your rock starness.
Yeah.
Just staring at the screen. What is that?
Never heard of Iron Man before.
I think my question was, so who's the big guy? And she goes, you mean Thanos?
It's like me going in there with you. Like, we have no clue. Like,
if I ever got in there, you'd have to have the fucking police to get me out.
You should have just live streamed it to Jay so there's someone there that could maybe appreciate what was going on.
I'll tell you, Jay, when eventually you do visit someday, we're going to have a little sit down before of what you can and can't do, and what you would actually do that would get me fired. Yeah. And we would just talk about that on the side. And if I see you like trying to touch like
I start trembling,
like a painting or talk to a director, I'd honestly monkey wrestle you down to the ground. Like, and we got to take him down. Take him down.
She opens the door and they're fucking doing sound for the Mandalorian and Favloni are both standing there.
Yeah. Whoa! That's that could happen. So I just know what doors to avoid.
She's got me on like one of those monkey backpacks that toddlers wear. Yeah. She can put a chain.
You keep reaching her hand out and I keep slapping it.
Yes.
She's like, don't let the red hair fool you. He's a child.
Right. No touch. Touch bad.
That's hot, Jay. That's hot. Hot? Okay. Here's your hands.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because speaking of that, like it's such an interesting job that some of these engineers have, because not only are they doing the sound work, but they're actually being pulled in at times to do voices on animated series. Like there's obviously like Matthew Wood and people like that who are doing voices that we hear in the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that kind of stuff. What a cool like thing to be able to work on that stuff and be like, you know what, we need this part. We need somebody to read this part. We need somebody to play this character. And then they're able to do it. It's so cool.
So have you ever done a voice?
I've done a little voice stuff, very, very little, but I'm not in any of the Star Wars stuff. I was in the background of Brave and also in What Lies Beneath, also in the background. So, But I don't know that you could pick me out from the crowd, really. But, sometimes you need something done and you're stuck in the ranch in the middle of nowhere, and you kind of look around and be like, hey, you know what we need? A girl's voice. How many girls do we have here? Let's give them a call.
The custodian was just busy, was on a lunch break, and they're like, hey, grab this chick.
Right. Hey, you, chop. No. Well, back in the day when I started, there was a lot less women in this, field than there are now. So,
yeah. And you have to, because I mean, there is like the, that actual kind of more like campus area that's down, is it like the Presidio or something, the north part of San Francisco?
Presidio, right.
And I know that a lot of people go there because it's just closer, but they do come out to the ranch. So do you have any fun sightings you could share with us? Anybody that you bumped into?
Sure. Lucasfilm is based at the Presidio, so I don't know how much interaction they really get unless it's with people who are actually working on a Lucasfilm project. Mm-hmm. But at Skywalker Sound or Skywalker Ranch, we do all people's movies. We don't just do Star Wars. And we do, to your earlier question, we do all of the Star Wars movies and all of the Star Wars series. We do all the sound for all of it. So, but we also do all the sounds for everything. We do all of the Pixar movies. We do about 90% of the Marvel movies, mostly the major ones, obviously, on site. And obviously we do everybody else's. We used to do all Kevin Smith's until he started doing his stuff elsewhere.
Until he got married out there and got in trouble.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He got married at the inn at the ranch, yeah.
Oh, that's
so. They tie the knot dressed as stormtroopers?
They just decided to do it. They didn't tell anybody. They just got married there.
Yeah, so, obviously he asked permission because we had to bring... You can only get onto the ranch with invitation. And so you can't... It's not like you can pay a fee and get on there. It's not like you can pay a fee and get married there. You cannot... It's like security protocols. There's that whole what's that movie? Where they try to go to the ranch? Yes. So that whole kind of scene about the kiosk and stuff, that is legit. You go through some gates, you pull up to a kiosk before you ever even see anything or get close to anybody or anything. So
right, I was going to ask about Fanboys because I watched it after having taken the tour, and a lot of stuff looked familiar. He allowed them to film a bunch of stuff there. So as long as you have a grappling hook, right? Isn't that in the movie?
Yeah. We have too much security for that scenario, but you can give it a try. You can give that a try.
Well, Jay and I have security clearances.
I have 2 words: armed security.
Yeah, there you go.
So we've already got that clearance, so we can just wave a badge and go in.
Oh, you just wave your hand, right?
Yeah.
People have tried. People call and ask to talk to George and pull up and be like, "We're friends." And everyone's like, "Yeah, dude, everybody's a friend. Keep it going."
How do they not? And maybe they do. I don't know, but how do they not have the guards in stormtrooper costumes?
Well, they're hot. And also there'd probably be a license fee because we're all about the licensing,
Yeah.
And if you are security or fire safety, because we have a full fire department, you have to legit be able to save someone's life in your gear. So I don't know how much help they would be in their outfit.
Right. Yep.
So I don't want to assume. I'm not saying they couldn't save lives. I'm just saying.
Maybe an Imperial officer uniform instead. That'd be a little bit more breathable, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe something with a nice...
Or at least those aerodynamic helmets,
Looks wise, it'd be nice if they just had someone standing out there, but they don't like to advertise. It's very nonchalant. You would drive by it and not even know there's something there,
Oh, okay.
So they don't say, "Hey, Star Wars here with a big arrow, glowing arrow, stalk us, we're here."
Nerds, stay away.
We're legit in the middle of nowhere. So.
Well, let's talk about the theater for just a second too, because you have a really awesome theater there.
The Stag at Skywalker Sound. Yep.
Yes, it is amazing.
It's a 37.8 or something like that.
What is it?
It's a 37.8 sound system. 37 surround sound speakers with 8 subs.
I'm not familiar with that stuff.
It's an almost there's a little less than 300 seats. So
right. God, it feels even smaller than that because it feels very intimate when you're in there, and it's the visuals, of course, are great, but the sound just blows you away.
I was going to say it has to be, right?
There's speakers all over you.
Yeah.
How long can you be in there before you have hearing damage? Is it
Well, movies are getting louder and louder. but we can turn it down for you. You kick her down a notch.
Well, it would be in heaven. You'd be in heaven.
Yeah.
You can't hear shit.
I like the grandpa in The Simpsons, a THX career. Turn it up.
ask the person running the projector, can you turn it up a skosh? I can't hear.
Yeah, that's you don't have to ask that there. No.
Well, and I won't get into what I was able to see there. There's a little clip montage that I saw, which is really awesome. But you do like premiere, like when a movie's coming out, or maybe, I don't know, maybe also when the series first come out, I don't know. You show them there, and so employees can go watch, because you've told me how you've gone there. Now, I know Neil doesn't like it anymore because he can't eat popcorn.
You're not allowed to eat in the theater.
No
not
eating.
allowed to eat there.
Yeah.
It just detracts from the experience, and also we don't want you to stay in the seats because you're messy. But so what we used to, we don't do it as much anymore. Obviously, we haven't done anything
COVID.
since pandemic times, but oftentimes directors from whatever movie, including Star Wars, like. Any Star Wars movie that comes out, we do have a special employee screening at the ranch and also at Lucasfilm at the Presidio for employees only. The weekend, usually it comes out, sometimes the weekend before, something like that. So that's really cool. But we also get to do screenings of any movie that has been done at Skywalker, per, of course, the permission of the directors involved. But that's the whole point of having the theater there, is that you've done all your work and your post-production sound at the ranch, and you want to hear it in an actual theater before you sign off on it. Quality control, really.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So the director and, producers, mucky mucks, if you will, have a screening for themselves, usually, before we sign off on, it being okay to ship out.
Nothing like seeing it like one of the best, like 3 or 4 theaters in the world or whatever.
It'll be the best you ever hear it.
Yeah.
But that's the point, right? So, I mean, it's not going to be the same in like, Van Nuys, LA. It's going to be in that weird, theater around the corner. But
yeah. No offense to our Van Nuys listeners.
Absolutely not. I apologize. I'm just saying there was this one time, but that's the whole thing. That's what they're paying for, right? The experience and the quality, and obviously you want to be able to like say we saw it, we heard it. That's what the product they've paid for.
And I think you told me this, that when they were more often and you went, it was this cool environment because you've got a lot of people there that worked on all the project, the project. And so they actually I've always been kind of a stay till the credits kind of guy.
You got to stay till the end.
And of course Marvel makes you do it now because they put all those credit scenes in.
Right.
But now I do it so much more when I know Skywalker Sound's involved, because I'm looking for names of people I've know or met through you. But I think the way you described it was almost like the credits come up and people are like applauding for each other, like the people that did the work.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not? Because they're your friends and your coworkers, and so when they get their recognition, and again, not everybody stays for the credits, and we don't expect you to, but we do it as a courtesy to other people. Like even when we go pay at a regular theater, like and go pay to see a movie, like we usually sit through the credits just because it's the courtesy and like
Respect.
It's right. For your coworkers, I'm staff, and so Skywalker Sound's an interesting place where most of the people who work on movies are project employees, so they can go from movie to movie, from studio to studio. It doesn't matter, Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, Fox, doesn't matter. They can just work on whatever. But I'm an actual official employee of Skywalker Sound, and I don't know the exact number, but there's probably maybe 20 of us.
Oh wow!
And the rest are all just project employees. So I don't really get my name on anything because I'm, maintenance, for lack of a better word. I just make sure the facility is functional so people can do their work on movies.
Well, when the movie starts and it says Lucasfilm across it, I'd say that's
an old boss of mine told me once, when it says Skywalker Sound, that's you.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, and true or false, you have or have not been handed a C-3PO award of some sort by one Kathleen Kennedy.
I do have it's years spent and honored to be working for as a courtesy. After you're there for a certain amount of years, you get a statue and it's handed to you by Kathleen Kennedy.
Was it C-3PO or was it something else?
It is a C-3PO. It looks like an Oscar. It's in the stance of an Oscar. Yeah.
But you've been there 10 times longer than Kathleen Kennedy.
I have, in fact. I met her actually in the gym at work, and there was something wrong with the TV, and she she's like, "Can you help me with this TV thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got it."
Was it her hoodie?
No. No, I don't know whose hoodie it was.
No?
Jay's referring to on our podcast where I found a hoodie in the gym. I used to always to find random clothing in the gym at work, and it would just be like left behind, and there end up being like a pile of clothes, and you're just like, I'm just gonna leave this here. But I never found out whose hoodie it was. So
should start up a lost and found.
Right.
Just take it.
Oh, you know what, Matt? You asked me earlier if I saw anybody cool. I see cool people all the time. Just get that out there. But I remember I've run into Robert Redford a few times at the ranch, and I've only spoken to him directly like a couple of times, but not like directly like we're friends or anything like that. Like the first time I ran into him, I legit ran into him physically. And because I was in a hurry, like scurrying down like a back hall or something, and he was going into the room I was trying to get out of before he arrived. I totally ran into him, and I was looking down so I didn't see who it was, and he was like, oh, and he like kind of like touched my shoulder to like, you know, like hold me up like and push me back a little bit like, oh, okay. And I looked up and I was like, oh, I'm so... And I just like stopped talking, and we just like stared at each other for like a solid 20 seconds of silence, and I'm like, sorry? And he's like,
should have been like, I'm so enamored with your face right now. Just should have like.
Well, that's why I'm actually, if you could see me in person, I'm kind of blushing because like the man legit has like a presence about him. He's not a huge man. He's not like bulky or anything like that. But like his, for lack of a better description, aura. You know, he was just like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, holy shit.
I am now. You're like, you're running your fingers over like the lines in his face and stuff.
He's like, never let me go, Robert Redford.
Like she's a blind person, like trying to see what he feels like.
I love you so much right now. Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, instead of making it like touchy awkward, I actually just did the exact opposite where it's like, I literally said something like, huh, yeah. And I turned and walked away.
Oh, that's so funny.
And he kind of looked at me like, okay.
And he tells that story to this day. I'm sure
he does. I'm sure he does. But like, and
really
the reason that you mentioning the gym made me think of it is because again, we have a gym there and we get the courtesy of being able to work out there. And one morning I walked into the gym at like something crazy, like 6:30 in the morning. And there was another girl I know who was, kind of like running on the treadmill. And as I was walking into the glass doors, I could see her face and she kind of like turned to me and like gave me this wide eye look as I was walking in the door. And I'm like, what? And I turned and like Robert Redford's sitting there like on the weight bench. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, wow.
This is the second time?
Yes, this is the second time.
We meet again.
She walks over and runs into him again and falls on top of him.
Question, how much was he repping? Do you know?
Yeah. Well, he's older now, so it's less weight, more reps.
Do you need a spotter, Robert?
Yeah. I don't know. And like, he was, I think, again, trying to be cool, try not to stare. There's this awkward moment of like 3 seconds where I'm like, huh, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm like, good morning. And I turn to the side and I go to the other treadmill and I kind of side eye the girl next to me and she just like shakes her head and she was like, I think she was like, I was trying to warn you. Yeah. Be cool, man. Be cool.
Now, does Robert Redford grunt when he lifts weights?
You know what? After that, I put in my headphones and pretended like nothing was happening. Just like, because you know what you don't want to do is like creep out the guests. So
yeah.
I mean, and then there's been cool people there. Like, you know, I've met like Robert Rodriguez. He won't remember me. I've met Kevin Smith. He won't remember me. M. Night Shyamalan. He won't remember me. Clint Eastwood won't remember me. But, you know, they're all there and they're all really cool. So like, you're not, you know, it's a place for them to be comfortable and because they're working, they're doing their jobs and I am at work and I'm doing my job. So I cannot be like, hey dudes.
Yeah. You can't fan out.
If you've been there almost 25 years
yes.
and they're there every once in a while making movies, they have to recognize you by now. They might not be like Annaleis.
Yeah, right. I work behind the scenes, so I don't get that as much. I mean, like I know Dave Filoni well enough to where he's like, will come up to me and be like, hey, good to see you. How you doing? And stuff like that because he's there all the time. But like Clint Eastwood's been there like a couple of times since I've been there, you know? So it's not like we have a conversation and he calls me later. I mean, you know?
How much to put a note in Filoni's hat?
Hey, we're not that close. We're close enough to say hi, how you doing?
No,
but
you just have to be close enough to put a note in his hat.
It's got to be like something that'll really spark his interest, so like a geocaching treasure hunt. It's just like to start him on a quest, and he finds our podcast at the end of it.
There you go.
Right. For
Because he's
sure.
got nothing better to do than start geocaching on the fucking Lucasfilm land.
He looks like he would appreciate a good like treasure hunt. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody wants to share their ideas with Dave Filoni. So.
Oh man, I'm sure he gets it all the time. I was waiting for you to say, and as a matter of fact, he's here with me, and have him roll in a chair
Right.
next to you. But that's okay.
Yeah. Right.
Next
Hi.
time.
Yeah.
Trapper Wolf himself.
Then I would be like,
Yeah. You'd accidentally hit hang up on the Skype. Like, oh no.
yeah.
Right. No, I mean, like, it's really cool. Like, so my good friend Athena Portillo, who worked on the Clone Wars and works closely with Dave Filoni on all of the animations, they basically kind of started Clone Wars together. And I was working at the animation facility at the time that they started doing that. And so, I'm not privy to any of those meetings or anything, but like when the Clone Wars started becoming a thing, there'd be days where like Athena, Dave Filoni, and George would all be there like for a meeting, and then so that like that little section of offices was like off limits for the 4 hours they were there, because obviously it's all secure and private and all of that. So that's really cool. So, and she 25 years later still works with Dave Filoni and still is the producer on all of the animations, and so I think that's super cool. And I don't know that a lot of people really know who she is.
Well, I mean, I do because, of course, you've mentioned her to me before.
Right.
I see her name in the credits all the time. When you watch these
Right.
animated shows, you see her name as one of the first ones that comes up, when the credits roll. But it's an interesting thing to be around all those people and have to kind of keep it professional, because it's real easy to, like your Robert Redford moments, to just be
Right.
like in a little bit of awe because you're so used to seeing these people for whatever reasons, for whatever projects they've done. And I assume that's just kind of like a general rule of thumb at the ranch is, don't bug these people. They're here to work. You're
Absolutely.
here to work. We're not going to ask for a selfie. We're not going to do any of that
Right.
nonsense. And I think also to a degree probably too with George, because he's out there, doing his thing, and you don't want to bug
Right.
him and all
I
that.
was just going to say that it's not uncommon for George to be there and for George to be at lunch. But you're not supposed to bug him, obviously. I mean, no
George
one
who?
actually... Right.
George too. Yeah.
Right. No one actually looks at you directly and says, don't talk to George, but it's the professional courtesy that you would
Right.
have at any of your jobs,
Don't look him
a
directly
little
in the
bit,
eyes?
right. Don't look at me. But maybe don't start like a conversation of like, you come over my house for dinner or something.
You remember that one
Let's not make
time
it
in A New
weird.
Hope?
Does he come? I can't remember. Does he come to the picnic?
Yes. Usually.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's a little more lax environment. You might be able to.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
actually-
it is his property, and in theory, you were allowed on because you were invited,
Right.
and you know the rules.
Yes. Exactly.
And if you don't know the rules, security will escort you out. I believe all he has to do is hold a hand up and this guy.
You'll be frozen in carbonite.
Right.
Hung up on the wall with all the
Right.
rest of them.
Jay and Cole, if you get a chance to go out there, it's such a cool place to visit. It's for not being like this huge. I mean, the grounds are massive, but it's not like this endless series of buildings or anything. The main building is really cool, like the original building. I believe is that where George's office is, I think. But there's a lot of cool lightsabers and like Indiana Jones gear and all this kind of stuff that you
At
see
the
in
house.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the
Sort of
house.
like a
Right.
museum, right? Like he's got a lot of film artifacts up on the walls and in rooms and stuff.
Right. But I mean, he's moved most of the artifacts to the museum in LA that he's put there. But
Okay.
we still have some at the ranch. But I think they also rotate them out because we have an actual archive department now. Because he collects more movie memorabilia than just his own.
Right.
Yeah. Now,
yeah, there's some cool
now
shit in
that
there.
there's like so much stuff going on in the streaming world and so many projects, are they adding on? Like, do you have enough room to keep up with all the content that's being made now?
As far as what do you mean, storing artifacts, or do you mean like
the editing sound and
studios.
like the rooms that the
Right,
studios
right.
themselves.
So what's interesting about that is the pandemic forced us to create new security protocols and
Work from home.
work from home applications that are secure, that can't be hacked and things like that. And before, studios were very, very strict, obviously, on like what could be worked where and transported, because obviously at Skywalker we have a complete lockdown, you know.
Yeah.
So we don't even call, you know, and everybody knows this already, so I'm not saying anything weird, but everybody already knows that, you know, movies aren't even called by their real names. They're all given like code names, and the code name will change. And so, you know, we all have these security protocols, but to be able to keep afloat during the pandemic, the engineering team had to come up with a way to be able to work from home in a secure way, and they did. And so now currently it was about 70% of our staff was working from home, but we're probably down to like 50%. And so we can completely expand on how many people we're employing and how many people are working, because half of them can work from home.
Oh, okay.
But in the age of streaming and all of that, absolutely. Like, we are doing way more TV stuff than ever before. Mm-hmm. And for a while we were doing not only the Disney Plus shows, but we were doing most of the Netflix shows as well. But it's my understanding that Netflix is building their own studio, so we probably won't continue to do all of that for them anymore, because they got smart and like they realized that probably we could just do this in-house. you know?
Right.
But yeah, so we, like I said, we still do all of the Star Wars movies and all of the TV shows, including the animations at Skywalker Sound.
Probably nice to get that rotating through. You don't get just burned out on one, you know, like series. Like, if you did only Star Wars, you'd probably be like, I fucking hate Star Wars. I've been doing 25 years of it, you know?
Need to change up.
Like, even if I did, I could never say that, Cole. I love my job.
I understand. You're bound by, what is it, a non-disclosure agreement? You can't say anything negative.
We wouldn't say that because we do a podcast about it. So we'd be like, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Everything is great.
It is. Absolutely.
I have no issues. I have no issues at all.
I love it all.
401k match
what are you
is
talking
amazing.
about?
Yeah.
Have you been keeping up on all the Star Wars stuff that's come out in the last 5 or so years? I mean, because I know the joke has always been, have you seen Solo yet? Because Neil, your husband, holds you back and was not allowing you to watch that. But I was just curious if you've been. That's
an ongoing joke, and we were going to watch it so I could say on this podcast that we watched it, and we didn't watch it. So no, oh my god.
Damn it.
But for the most part, I do see what's going through, and again, things have changed over time with the acquisition of Disney, buying out Lucasfilm and things like that. Like, the employees aren't as privy to insider information as we used to be. And I mean, like, back in the day when I first started there, I knew a lot of insider shit that like I couldn't tell people, like, about, you know, production and things like that. But I don't now, because now, since all of the leaks and all of that we aren't privy to any insider information. That honestly, I really don't know much more than you guys know, because they only tell us usually like the day they tell you guys.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
I don't really know much more than public. Like, obviously behind closed doors at where I work every day, they're working on these things and they're there, but like, I have a job to do, and my job isn't to go and try to like sneak in this room and like see some shit. So
Did you get through all of second season of Mandalorian?
No.
Oh, come on.
I do. I really like it, though. I really do like it. I really love the vibe.
Jay can't believe it.
I know. I'm getting
right
there,
now.
and I haven't seen all of Loki yet either. So I'm there. I'm almost there. I'm a busy girl. What do you want from me?
So coming into your job, you were a fan to some degree of Marvel and Star Wars, but like being there, of course, you have like more of an appreciation for all the stuff that goes into it and how the sausage is made and all that kind of stuff. And you have these personal relationships with these people that are making this. So has it changed your fandom of it? Like, do you feel like your fandom like went through the roof there, or is it just like, or is there a piece of it that's like, well, this is still my job and it's still their jobs, and so.
You can see her. How do I answer this politically correct?
Okay, deep breath, ready. Okay.
Because you, just to give a little insight too, when you were in Portland, you were at, going to the comic book shop more, and like I think maybe you were a little bit more into the Marvel stuff than the Star Wars stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. So I mean, I saw Star Wars and I liked Star Wars before I started working there, but like, would I say I was like an uber fan? Probably not.
Okay.
I think I probably had them on
Annaleis.
VHS,
Yeah, sure.
But having said that, let's just be clear. Like, if you were like a fanatic, you would not work there. Like, they'd be like, oh, this guy,
Too much. Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
Right. So, I mean, like, because you have to be able to do your job. And then, like I said before, like, not freak out if, like, George or Dave Filoni walks in the room. You have to be, like, super cool, you know? Not like Robert Redford, where you totally lose your cool. But, like...
or you don't like the storyline. You're like, I'm going to cut that line. I don't like that. Like, no. You can't make that decision, man.
That's not up to you. Yeah. So,
She's
like,
back there cutting wires. So
she's
they
like,
can't.
I took a little liberty and I changed the dialogue and I voice overed a couple things.
Yeah.
I think you're going to like it.
Yeah. Let's take this shit down. Yeah. I could just cut this wire and y'all be shut down.
Ray's a Mandalorian now.
No, I mean, again, I think you're right. I am more into it from a Star Wars and a Marvel point of view because I work there and I get to see it and I get to be a part of it. And there really is kind of this very interesting dynamic where we are proud of what we're doing and it's really cool and it's really special and cool to be a part of something that so many people love. And like I said before, like even though I don't work on the movies themselves, I don't know that the facility could function without me or the person who does what I do. Mm-hmm. And so it makes me feel good and special and important in that way. But, you know, again, it's just like, and I like what we do. So that is just a bonus. Like if I don't know that I could go to work every day and be like, oh my God, this thing again. You know, like, oh my God, we're doing this thing again. But no, but I do. I appreciate it more. And I think some of this stuff we're doing is like crazy cool. Like the animation stuff I love. And I love that they keep going.
The Darth Maul series you're talking about, right?
Yeah. You know, and I have a new set of underoos and all of that. You know?
Jay's like, can you get us onto the volume set? Can we actually get into the volume at some point? That'd be great.
They don't have a volume at Lucasfilm. I know that.
No, I know, but like, you know, down south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you had a question?
I did, but is there anyone that works there that's just like completely nonplussed, and, like not enamored by any of it? They're just
not
like
Disney Plus.
Absolutely, but I can't tell you who that is.
I was gonna say they're just like they come into work and they're like, "Who's Luke Skywalker?"
Slams their fucking lunchbox down. Not hate their job, but just doesn't even understand.
They don't know anything about the universe. They're just like, this is just a job that I found on Craigslist, and I'm working here now.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Like at any job or factory or whatever it is you do, there's people who like their job and they're good at their job, and there's people that just come in and do their jobs and clock 9 to 5 and clock out for lunch and then go home. You know, so like there are people who work on movies who don't like movies. There are people who, you know, who work on movies who don't see a lot of movies. I mean, it happens, you know, like a lot of like editing and not necessarily sound editing, but a lot of it is, you know, computer program based. So you're just clicking a mouse, you're doing your things, you're going through your programs, you know, like, and some people are more in charge of like archiving and data more than actual the artist part of it. So, so are there people who probably work in and around Star Wars who, you know, maybe don't like Star Wars? I'm sure there is.
But I hope there's like a Star Trek fanatic who just every time he's working on or she's working on something is just like, this is so stupid.
Or they,
you know what, we used to have an
like
engineer who liked Star Wars but was a much bigger Trekkie. And so like during conversations, like he would bring up Star Trek like all the time.
Oh no.
But
I mean, like, I'm sure he probably even did it as a joke, but you know, like we're like, okay, dude, let's just curb the Star Trek talk here.
His name was Grant Markham. Yeah.
Right. But you know, again, it's just all personal choice, and again, feel kind of happy to be there. And at the end of the day, Lucasfilm and Skywalker and Disney is still a special place to be.
I got a question for you. So in the days of TikTok, I feel like this is probably what Neil was doing. Did he walk in the room butt naked and look at you?
He wasn't naked.
Funny you say that, especially the butt
Before
part.
we started recording, there might have been some naked.
I knew it. Right when she looked over and she goes, don't you?
I was like, don't.
I might have been exposed to something before you guys got on. I'm just gonna say
but that's not the first time you've seen it. So
Nope. Won't be the last.
I see. Now they're best friends, Jay.
Yeah.
See what I'm telling you? I have yet to see you naked.
Yeah.
You gotta get there. You gotta drop the pants, man.
I was waiting for the prop plane to come into screen.
I don't know if there was full frontal or whatever, but
wasn't doing the helicopter.
Wow, he's matured, and I'm very upset with him.
Well, someday I think someday when you guys sit down and watch Solo, maybe we should have you both on and do a little Solo review. I think that would be fun.
For sure. That's hilarious.
How about this? For New Year's, our New Year's either the first episode after New Year's, you guys come on and we'll talk Solo.
Sure.
Yep.
Actually, we want you to be on New Year's Eve at midnight. We're all going to kiss, like a 5-way kiss. We're going to kiss on the screens. I think that would be perfect.
Okay.
Wow.
But we're in
You
two
guys have
different time
plans?
zones, so it's very confusing.
Why am I here?
Plans.
You guys have any plans for New Year's Eve? Just ask it now. I mean, it's a couple months.
Sounds like you're available.
I will be. You know me.
So it's not going to be Solo, is what you're saying.
It's not going to be
Okay.
Solo.
It's going to be a group.
Wow.
So on this last question that we have on the sheet, I don't know if you've seen this, Annaleis, but I would just like to point out that I did not write this.
I did.
Wait.
Our co-host sabotage.
I don't think I printed out the new sheet.
Oh, okay.
Good.
I just looked at it and went, ha.
Then never mind.
There may have been a fuck, marry, kill that you would not have any chance in any way of answering. So we'll just leave it at that.
Are we sure?
We can always edit it out.
You know, I was going to say, we can
I was
always
like,
edit
not
it
recorded
out.
anyway.
We can always put it on 7 Days Geek as a bonus thing.
Patreon.
Patreon only.
Yeah, Patreon.
You've talked me into many a story doing that. No one's going to listen to it.
Sure have.
Right. And then later you're like, holy shit.
I said that. Oops.
Oops.
There's so many things I've said that I probably shouldn't have said. Not on this podcast so far. I've been real good, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
You
Have
have
I
been.
did that actually answer any question, or was I Switzerland through the whole thing? I don't know.
No, you were good. Great
yeah.
questions. Great answers. I mean, it just gives people a peek into what's there. I mean, because like you said, you can't, not just general public can't take a tour of this place.
Right.
And it's got this kind of, at least among Star Wars fans, I think this mystique of being this, this place that, people, I don't know, that people would like to see. And like to get a chance to be able to go there and see it, having no real expectation of what it was. I mean, I had seen, just the occasional picture you said or just ways you've described it. But once you actually go there and see it, it's a little bit different than what you expect. But it was pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool and beautiful place. And like, it really is like held up to this like nerd fandom. And it's really weird that I just drive there every day and be like, okay, clock in, clock out.
Right.
I have a question.
Yes.
How's bragging camp?
Good.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I don't know about you.
I do have a question because I picked up
paid
on
my
something
dues.
that you said earlier, and it was we had mentioned Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks, and the banner is still up on the wall, and you said something. Oh, it's coming back, but I think it was steamrolled. No one heard it, so I know we have listeners. We have crossover listeners, and you guys have been on the air in a while. So I just wanted to, give you the platform. You guys are coming back?
We're coming back.
When?
Anytime
After
now.
you watch Solo?
Any minute now. We might do a special solo episode.
Yes.
Don't call it a comeback, Jay.
It's going to be.
Well, I look forward to the crossover Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks FACPA episode when we do Solo. That's gonna be awesome.
I was going
I
to
do
say,
too.
that we'll have you back on, obviously, when we get
I hope
rolling.
so. Well, I mean, I was going to ask like if there was anything coming up that's, in the
All
near
of it.
future, because there's a company line.
I love
Are there
everything.
are there any roles for us coming up that you think that we would be perfect for?
They need a couple of podcasters to do voiceover roles.
Or a physical star. I think we could hold the presence on the
Right.
screen. Put me against Robert Downey Jr.
I own a robe. I have a lightsaber.
And available.
Yeah.
We have to call up Dave. Hey, listen, we need 7 lightsabers. We need you to put this in priority 1.
Yeah. You're going to have to quit the job and get to work now.
Right. I mean, but seriously, who isn't looking forward to like the Book of Boba Fett? Anyone? Is anybody not looking forward to that?
Yeah. Well, I figured that. And I just didn't know if there was one in particular that was kind of the big one for you that you were looking forward to. Kenobi, a lot of people are looking forward to just because of the long history and all that kind of stuff.
Kenobi for sure, but Boba Fett more than. I mean,
Yeah.
for me personally, if I had to say. And since you asked, I said.
Did you have the toy when you were a kid? Were you a Boba Fett fan as a kid?
Again, I saw Star Wars as a kid, but I wasn't like big enough fan to like own Star Wars gear or anything like that. That didn't come later until I was like in my 20s and things like that, till I let my nerd freak fly.
So the 20s was when you worked at the comic book store then?
No, I started working for Skywalker when I was, 25? Question mark, maybe. And I started working at the comic book store when I was probably 28. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Because she went to Portland
30,
for a while.
Yeah,
Came back.
something like that.
I didn't realize that was in between. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I took like a little break from Skywalker. I told them that we needed a break.
Did you break their hearts?
Well, what's funny is, not really, because when I told them I was ready to come back, I just gave a call and they said, great. So what, Monday? So
I have a question.
Your work's been piling up the last 3 years.
yeah, we're like,
Yeah, they never subcontracted it out.
Hilarious story. I walked in that Monday morning and they were like, so we reactivated your email and your phone number. And I'm like, wow.
Kept it in there, huh?
Yeah. They'd like lock down my phone number. Okay, your desk is still there. Yeah, cool. I'm like, yeah, okay.
You still have your old badge? Cool.
Still never left.
It's like they
Never
retired
left.
your jersey.
She's like,
and
yeah.
just
I mean,
pulled it
like,
back
I
down.
legit walked in and be like, oh, hey, great to see you. Where have you been? I'm like, Portland.
There's a glitch in the payroll. We fixed the glitch. And now you're getting paid.
Her first check back, she gets 3 years of pay. Gets wired.
Didn't
That's
say
why
a
you
word.
have to
your
go and
question?
come back for the raise.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
there you go.
So my question was, earlier you were talking about how you started out, your ex kind of got you the job, like, hey, my girlfriend can do this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He's still there.
So did he get threatened by the fact that you were better at the job than him, and then he quit in
Well,
shame? And
our
that's why
jobs
you're
were
the head of the studio now?
Different. So, like, as an engineer, he would, like, be one of the people who would design the systems, and me as a wire technician would build it. So basically, most engineers aren't as hands-on. Some are, but most aren't.
Well, he was really hands-on at one point.
I mean, that's a wasted
Never on company
opportunity to
time,
be hands-on.
though. Just to be clear, George, if you're listening,
George,
never,
we weren't doing anything.
never on
Hands
company
off,
time.
hands off.
Yeah. Only Robert Redford.
I'm on my break.
Robert Redford.
Right. How you doing? This is
Clint
going to be
Eastwood
like
looked at me one time. I mean,
this is going to be entitled like Robert Redford, Run for Your Life.
she's getting a hive. She's starting to get a hive. She's itching it. Oh
You
my
know,
God,
like,
I can't-
is anybody else
Like,
uncomfortable right now?
this is why I quit podcasting. She's going to wake up one big
Oh my
rash
gosh.
tomorrow.
I know, exactly. The hives. Oh my God.
Neil's like, that's not for me this time. I
Yeah.
swear.
I didn't do it. So the engineers like hand me an AutoCAD drawing like packet of designs and like wireless and things like that, and sometimes an empty room to build a studio in, or sometimes a room I have to change into a different configuration or whatever it is. And so again, the engineers like think of these brilliant ideas, but I'm the one that has to like go in and like physically build it so they can then use it. So
Oh, Jay's got a question.
Jay's got a question. Question in the back?
I don't understand this day and age. Why are they changing the configuration for the sound designs?
Excellent question. So with ever-evolving technology and personal preferences per every mixer/designer, because we're all special, you can request a setup and we will reconfigure the equipment to your specifications. So, we don't have every piece of gear like in the world, but we will try to have the most current technology and try to configure the room to the way that you want it. Like which type of gear you want and things like that. So
it comes down to what the people that are editing and doing the sound stuff, what they're comfortable using.
exactly, 100%.
Okay. I thought you were like rewiring the room.
Not every time, but like this week, I worked on rewiring like some audio and video patch bays for a room that we're upgrading. So we're constantly upgrading and constantly changing. And with all of the evolving technology, things are constantly being discontinued. So like a piece of gear that we've been buying and using for the past 3 years has been discontinued. So now we have to find a replacement and test it and try it out. And then we have to upgrade from that,
So if she ever comes over to your house and like looks behind your TV and your whole setup, she's going to be like, Jesus Christ, this is a mess.
I guarantee you right now that's not going to happen. I don't even do that in my own house. Neil does all the wiring here.
That's true. That's true. Right.
So long story short, you didn't emasculate your ex and send him off into obscurity?
Because we again had different jobs, and I think that at some point he realized that I got paid a decent amount to do a job that he didn't really want to do anyway, and so he was like, "Oh, she can do it. She's your man."
And then you're like, these AutoCAD drawings are crap. And then he got his heart. Then he got his feelings broken.
Feelings broke. Heart
Maybe
hurt.
you could try a little harder
Something.
on these drawings, dude. Yeah. No.
Oh man. All right. Any other questions, guys?
No, I'm happy.
Okay, good.
Cole, you with me? Cole, you still here?
I'm still here. Yep.
Yeah.
Why am I getting singled out? I'm here.
Because you didn't talk very much. I feel like I talked the whole time, but I guess that's the point.
He's
right
just
now.
a really good listener. Ladies. Really good listener.
Ladies.
Yep. Such a good listener.
And you love Star Wars, ladies.
Yeah, there you go.
Your thoughts
one-
and
that
your
one
feelings
doesn't
are
hurt.
important to me.
Okay. I thought I had a really good closing question.
I
but
thought
You
you did
did.
too.
That was
I guess
really
it was
good.
just-
You did a great job.
Because you circled back around. That was good.
Oh, that was a circle back too. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that. My own genius comes
Cole's
out.
known for
sometimes.
circling back around.
Sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 laps without even thinking about it.
You still. I was good. Nope, not gonna.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to hear.
Oh,
I want to hear that
That's what we're
question.
here for, Annaleis.
2, 3, 4 times, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to put in the overtime if the first time doesn't get it done.
Well, Annaleis, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great talking to you. And do you want to pimp your show since it sounds like it might be coming back?
Since we
You
might
wanna-
come back, I don't know.
Yeah.
We might be doing a Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks podcast. You never know.
And where can we find that on Twitter?
DAPF Pod on Twitter, and I am Wiretech Girl at Twitter. At the Twitters. Whoa, who's old? I don't know. At the tweets.
All right. Well, we will have you back. We'll have you and Neil back to do solo. I'm looking forward to that. We got to do that.
Sure. We'll break it down.
We're gonna have to do a meetup. Like if we do our meetup in Vegas next year, you guys come along, and then we're gonna tape Neil's ass to a chair and put that movie on. If we have to act it out.
I feel like at this point it should be almost like a live event where we just kind of like do like a YouTube live or something where
There
we
you
like
go.
watch it together, you know,
Right.
and make it a party occasion and talk through the whole thing.
I like it. Yep. Yeah. It might be tough to absorb it all.
Right.
I could see it going one of two ways. Either Neil is like, meh, or he's just weeping by the end of it.
Right.
Like it's the most beautiful
He's
film.
going
Why
to
did I
do
wait so
either
long for it?
just to entertain you, Jay.
Yeah.
You know it.
I appreciate that. Tell him I said hi.
I will.
Okay.
Should he
All
come
right.
in here and say hi to you before you go?
Yeah. But we can wrap up. Thank you so much, Annaleis. Really great talking to you.
Love you guys. Okay, bye.
Thank you very much, Annaleis. Great talk. It was fun catching up with her, and definitely look forward to Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks coming back. You guys should check that show out. They are very funny.
Yes. Like I'm looking forward to hearing Annaleis and Neil on the microphone again.
All right, let's go to the Maul Bag.
Hello there.
You've got mail.
Every time.
Get you.
So
I can't
long.
wait till Kenobi comes out so we can pull some more.
So Jay did some soliciting of emails. We did have one, and then you went and got some more. So good job there. So we actually have 3 emails in the Maul Bag today.
Thank you, Daddy.
The first one is a response from Jeannie. At this point, it's turning into a pen pal situation where we send her, we put out audio and she sends us emails.
It really is. Yeah.
Does she know there's the option to tweet along with the show? Like,
How long are we going to play this volley?
So she says, okay, guys, here are my responses to your questions. I assumed if I said I was going to rub your belly or head, Cole, I would have 20 minutes of nudge, nudge, wink, wink hitting my way. Ooh, whoa. It's getting hot in
first
here.
and foremost, your 20-minute expectation is way too high. Unless I'm at a buffet, I've never lasted 20 minutes of my entire life.
No, that's not true. I know your secret. 2 talls and a short. And 20 minutes on your belly, that's a starter.
On my belly?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Well, I don't know.
You're getting pegged.
I mean, don't peg me for the guy who likes to get pegged, but fed my head under a petticoat or 2.
Okay.
Positive praise is the way to get more desired behavior. Cole, you are not fat. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Nothing but respect, good sir. So she's pumping you back up.
Well, I didn't know. Who called me fat? Did I call myself fat?
I think
I
you
think
called
so.
yourself fat.
I think last episode. So I guess
Self-depreciating.
listeners who jumped into this episode don't know what we're talking about. This is a continuation from an email from last week.
That's right.
Where,
Go
where
back
she
and listen to
continues
episode
to
45.
even after we were like, we don't know what you're talking about because we need give us some
Context.
Cliff's notes. Yeah, context, right? So Cole's like, did you see the new email? We're driving home the other day. And I was like, no. So I jump in the notes and I'm reading it and I was like, she still didn't give us the context. I don't know what half of this means. So now she's responding to a response from our response to it, and I'm like, I'm lost.
I stand by my statement that Adam Sandler should never touch Star Wars. Still love you, Matt, and please always look longingly at Cole every time you do a voice. Done. I will do that.
Wow,
for the
you
rest
guys
of the
did.
time.
You locked eyes. Okay, I remember that part because it was very uncomfortable for you.
I found it very comfortable.
I don't remember the Adam Sandler bit.
Oh, the Adam Sandler thing was, at one point we made the joke about Adam Sandler making a Star Wars movie. And then, of course, she responded to that. And then I brought it up again last time and had to redo the voice of Adam Sandler, which I'm not going to do this time.
Oh, just give us one more. Come on, I need someone to look into my soul. I need
into
someone
it.
to look into my soul.
We're not doing it right now. I'm not doing it.
Be Hubie Halloween this episode.
Cole, there is no reason to change. Be yourself. She is really, this is like a self-help email.
She's like your life coach. Like she's before you go to Porkins, this is who you needed in your life.
Yeah, I don't even remember asking for help. But okay.
I think it was more of the self-deprecation that you were giving yourself, where she's like, "You are a big, strong man, Cole.
You are." Oh, so this is.
Oh, you've got the email up.
I was looking up the link she put in this email.
Oh, okay.
She added a link. She said, I have this song running through my head, which is a Kinky Boots song called Raise You Up, Just Be. You have to remember what she does for a living. Her job is to make
Social worker.
step away from the ledge.
Won't make you feel good.
Right.
I want to make you good.
Oh, God. I still hate see you next Tuesday, SYNT. I will fight to keep language full and robust, and as I am so bad at text speech, I have had to ask the kiddos what people mean. Well, that's just because we're old. She said murder reference was to Chopper. Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I suck at punctuation. I had 20 minutes on one and another full episode. I also caught up, obviously. Thank you.
I recall that.
She said, I am good at my job, but I am not good at shilling podcasts. Unless you like hardcore history, I've gotten so many people to listen to Dan Carlin. Well, thanks for the plug for that show.
Right.
She does plug us a lot, though.
She
I will
does.
have to
She
say.
does.
She's like listening to.
I've
she
been
does
backed up for
listening to-
weeks.
You whore.
When she pegs you, it's like the knife in the ketchup bottle, you know? Sorry, go ahead.
That's more of a clean out.
Oh, okay. I see. Like the glass ketchup bottle.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I get it. I didn't know we were at Pixie's Diners from the 1970s. They still
I'll
have
cut
glass-
that. I'll cut that. It
There's
didn't
a lot
land.
of bloopers
I'll
at the
cut
end of the episode, I feel. Just put them all in there.
Who's not using a squeeze ketchup bottle in 2022 or 2021?
Restaurants. I think they still use a glass one. It's like
I have
it's like a
fucking never seen a glass ketchup bottle
Really?
after 1995.
next one I see I'm stealing, I'm putting it right on the table.
Bring it here.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been listening to me talk, but I made a reference to the movie Dragnet earlier. Just
That's a good point.
so.
That's stuck in the 80s.
1986. Best joke in that movie? What's the best joke? To me, it was when he grabs the phone book and he hits I'm going to reach out and touch someone. And he hits him with the phone book. I'm like
forgot
9
about
years
that
old
one.
and I'm like, that was brilliant.
Dear God, I had a coworker come and check on me due to the fact that I keep laughing loudly. Thanks, guys. You're welcome. And then she says, voice memo to come. Oh, boy.
Oh.
Ooh, we have to do a stop and what is it?
Okay, stop.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That we always do okay stops for voice memos. Thank you very much, Jeannie.
Thank you, Jeannie.
The next email is... Uh-oh. Mike Laybourne.
Why don't you eat my ass, Mike? That's my response to that.
He's back.
He back.
I feel like we need to add to that. Like every time he sends an email in, it'll be one of our disses added onto it.
I have my tablet up and running now, and I've been pining to do some audio.
Oh, so you haven't
There you
made
go.
one yet, but it's coming.
It's coming.
Unlike Mike.
Oh, apparently if he eats our ass like that, he might be. Depends on what gets him off. Is he a giver or a taker? I'm not sure.
Like I said at the intro of the show, very not safe for work.
Yeah, you gave him a warning. He says, here's an R2-D2 slow cooker, and he sent us a picture. He said, what's the weirdest piece of Star Wars merch you guys own or have been gifted?
To be honest, when they released these a couple years ago, there was the slow cooker, there was a BB-8, and there was another one, I think. They're kind of fucking cool. I'd have one in my kitchen.
I've seen this one. I've seen you actually have a Star Wars cutting board from yours truly for a Christmas gift from
It's a
7
Death
Days
Star.
a Geek.
Yep.
Death Star Wars cutting board. There's an R2-D2 coffee French press that I had my eye on. My friend, a friend of mine, my buddy's wife, knows I'm a big Star Wars geek, so she always sends me something. She sees Star Wars. She's like, you need this for Christmas. I'm like, well, buy it for me for my Christmas gift. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, okay.
But here's a picture of it.
Here's a picture of it if you want to buy it for yourself.
I thought about buying this for you.
Yeah, I contemplating it. Then I saw that it was $39.99.
Send her a picture of the slave Leia bikini and tell her I need.
I will not be doing that.
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff. Like we have a Death Star popcorn maker. We've got a Stormtrooper waffle machine, little plug-in thing. And then, but I think my favorite thing that I have is I have a Bosk strap-on that my lady friend uses on me. So
Wow.
It's just his head.
God.
I was gonna get the gaffy stick, but I don't like that thing on the end of the gaffy stick. That's just it seems like I cause some damage.
It's curved, so it's supposed to stimulate the prostate. I guess.
Yeah, I think it might cause him trouble upstairs or downstairs.
Cause some damage.
Yeah. And finally, email number 3 from Brian Auer. He said, "Hey, Maul Baggers. Want to commend you on bringing smiles to our faces weekly, whether it's about the West Coaster stepping out, thanks, the neighbor's frustration with time, or the disgruntled one's weekly life. No questions, comments, or put-downs this week, but just a heartfelt thanks as we move into this time of Thanksgiving." What a nice message.
That is.
And he says, "Time to move my sandcrawler back to the salvage yard I'm working on as my second dumpster is about to be delivered. My words to all with parents still alive is to have them declutter now." He's going through the cleanup of his recently deceased father. Sorry for your loss, Brian. And he shared some pictures on Twitter, and it is just, there's a lot of stuff there.
I mean, I've never known anyone to collect coolers, but there was a mighty mound of coolers.
A lot of coolers.
I mean, he could just took them all to the beach and just dropped them off, and like everyone at the beach could have.
You need a cooler? You guys need like
Let's
Oprah
be real,
out there.
though. There's only one real cooler out there.
The Yeti?
Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse.
Oh. No. Oh. His name's escaping me.
Sam Elliott?
Nope. The Cooler. The movie The Cooler. Shameless. What's his name?
Oh, Macy?
Yes, William H. Macy. You ever seen The Cooler?
Nope.
Him and Alec Baldwin?
Not better than
and Maria Bello? Fucking
not better than
fantastic
Patrick Swayze.
film.
Guarantee it. You know, there's going to be a remake of that movie with starring
is.
Jake Gyllenhaal as fucking.
And Doug Liman's directing it?
Oh.
What?
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. How do you get Doug Liman to direct?
How do you get Jake Gyllenhaal?
Well, have you ever seen Southpaw?
I don't want him as
He's a
anywhere
ripped
near
motherfucker.
Well, that's fine, but Patrick Swayze wasn't a ripped motherfucker. He was like more lithe. Like.
Well, yeah, that's what you get when you ballet dance.
Is Doug Liman the Bourne guy?
Yep, he did the first Bourne. He did Edge of Tomorrow. He was Jumper. What else did he do recently? He just did something recently. I was like, Doug Liman did that?
Huh.
He did that. I think Doug Liman directed that movie that you saw. What though? The Wall. It was just John Cena and
the sniper movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Cena and another
the kid that was Kick-Ass. His name escapes me right now. He's gonna play Kraven the Hunter. He was Quicksilver in the Avengers: Age of Ultron. Anyway, sorry.
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon must be hilarious with you. The guy that was in he was in that, and he was in the thing with that.
Can't beat me.
I think you have to name them though.
True story. You play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
It's not over, Matt. It's not over.
You play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. The two people you use was like Rosie O'Donnell for some reason. I could pull her from all these movies, like from the 90s.
Rosie O'Donnell?
I don't know. I could name one movie other than what was the movie with her?
League of Their Own.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was gonna say.
But there was also she's in the leather and shit. Yes, the edge of something, or
is that with Dan Aykroyd? No, not Dan Aykroyd.
Yes,
is it Dan Aykroyd? Okay.
Yep, it was 4 I can't remember. For some reason, I could use that movie. Who was the other?
A Few Good Men was a big one.
A Few Good. Also,
Rosie O'Donnell's in A Few Good Men.
No,
no, sorry. For the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, A Few Good Men gets you to a lot of people.
And so does JFK.
And JFK, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Anyways, go ahead. He does not get you to Star Wars in 7 though.
That's it for the Maul Bag. Appreciate everybody sending mails in. We enjoy getting your comments and your questions, so please keep sending those in. Again, that's FACPApod@gmail.com. And now it's time for
the FACPoid. FACPAtoid.
There you go.
I can read.
Oh, by the way, really quickly, Mike Laybourne did send in a FACPAtoid-esque nugget, but I decided we'll save that for next week since you already had a couple in the queue.
All right. Okay, for the first one, this goes back to something we were talking about earlier. According to the canon novel Star Wars: Lost Stars, nearly 1 million people died in the destruction of the first Death Star. Ooh. I looked that up. I was like, I wonder how many people died.
How do you get 1 million fucking people on the Death Star?
George Lucas said 1 million.
That's a lot.
That is
the size of a moon.
Yeah, and they're not on the surface; they're on the inside. Like, think of that. There's a McDonald's on every floor.
McDonald's alone, that's like 50,000 people.
Yeah,
just working at
the sign
McDonald's.
on every floor. 1 million served. Boom. Close to 2 million were killed between the destruction of both Death Stars. Sadly, nobody gives a fuck about Starkiller Base. They had it coming. A very cold Han Solo.
I feel like that one is not an actual quote.
No, it was for me. And then the second one was, and I did a little digging today, so this was actually the first one, but then I thought I'll throw a couple in here. So in keeping with our FACPAtoid from last week, while prepping for the prequels, George Lucas was close to hiring these actors. Did you guys know this? So we discussed DiCaprio last week. That was Anakin. But then Joshua Jackson from Dawson's Creek.
Yep.
Also later in
Mighty
the
Ducks.
Yep. And name escaped.
Who was he in Mighty Ducks?
He was
the main guy. He was Charlie.
He was the lead.
Charlie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan Felipe was up as Anakin, but the only reason he didn't get it is because he was kind of on the older. He was 26 or 29 at the time. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the further as we go down this list.
Could. By the way, Felipe could have done that, like kind of brooding.
Yeah.
Kind of I don't know, angsty. He like he's done that in films before. He could have totally done that.
You know what? Out of this list, I gotta say Leo. out of these three.
Well,
Because,
Leo
to be
would have
honest
been
with you,
amazing, but it would have been
Leo
a
would have
different
been
Anakin.
Well, he can't not act. Is
Right.
the thing, and Leo does whatever he touches. Typically turns to gold. So
Well,
I don't know.
Well, one of the articles I was reading was Ryan Felipe was saying that he heard he was up, and then he heard Joshua Jackson. It was him, or it was one of the two of them, or Hayden Christensen, and he said it better come down to me or Joshua. It better not be some unknown fucking Canadian. And then Hayden Christensen gets the job.
Sorry,
Wasn't Ryan Felipe in the movie you talked about earlier?
Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes,
He was in that, but it wasn't.
Cruel
And Cruel Intentions.
and that's why he was chosen for this was because of Cruel Intentions.
Talk about 6 degrees of Kevin
Ryan
Smith.
Felipe.
Right, boys?
Okay.
6 degrees of
Now,
FACPA.
before Samuel Jackson was up for Mace Windu, supposedly due to a guy that was like in the record label that was in a studio talking to him, and Tupac Shakur was up for like 3 roles at the time, and he's like, I'm going to meet George Lucas. I'm up for like some role. I'm going to go have a discussion. So it's rumored that who else would it be besides Mace Windu? But I hear Mace Windu was created specifically for Samuel
So
Jackson.
it could have been a
Tupac-
different type of character, different type of Jedi.
Right.
Tupac died in '95. When were the prequels?
Well, they started shooting in 99. Right.
they were talking
They came out in
beforehand?
99, so they probably
Released in
started
99.
shooting 97, 98.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could have been very possible that they were talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 'Cause
That
I looked at and I
motherfucker
laughed.
was 25 years old when he died.
Tupac was?
Yes.
Wow, so he wasn't even the early dead 27. He was 25.
No,
27?
isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. I remember when that was announced. That's the biggest loss. That's my in my generation, the thing that fucking hit.
I've told this story on other podcasts.
I showed you that song that I found the other day.
Yes.
The Tupac song that I was listening to, right?
You should link that in the show notes.
I will. Matt, will you allow it?
Actually,
Send it
to
over.
Matt. He likes rap. But no, the most memorable death of a famous person, because so I'm at work, I'm doing stuff, and I hear Michael Jackson had died, right? And I'm like, what the fuck, Michael Jackson? So I go to Google, and all I do is click on the first one, because I'm like, this can't be true. And I'm reading this article, and it's about, the police are scouring Neverland, all this shit, and they find a dead body underneath the train tracks to the train that goes around Neverland, and he's in the Thriller jacket, all this shit. And then they're like, this person had been faking Michael Jackson for like over a decade, pretending to be Michael Jackson, and then he died, and that's how they figured it out. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
It was Chris
So
Tucker.
I scroll back up and look, it's a fucking Onion article that was written like years before. And I fucking just howled. And I was like, okay, so he's not dead. Then I scrolled down a little bit. Oh, he really is dead. But no, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, Tupac would have been interesting. I would imagine he'd just come out and be like, Sith life, and
He's got the AK-47 on his stomach that's been superimposed as 2 crossed lightsabers instead.
Order 66. on his
Order
stomach.
66.
Well, what did Grant call it?
Dear Mama. He starts talking, rapping to Anakin's mom.
Shmee!
Shmee! What was the Chappelle skit?
The Chappelle skit was,
I've been dead a long time ago.
Well, yeah, he goes, he starts it off on stage and he goes, you ever been at a club and you hear another new Tupac album come out and you're like, what the And so he's rapping about all the stuff that happened like 10 years after his death.
After he was dead,
like,
yeah.
Huh? George W.
Yeah.
He ran for city council. You wouldn't know him.
Yes. I fucking love that skit. Fucking Chappelle's dancing. He's like,
stop bumping the table. That guy's bumping the table. Stop bumping the table. It's happening in the club.
I've been dead. Yeah. Who else is on here?
He's still alive.
The most interesting I found on here was Gary Oldman was originally hired to be the voice of General Grievous.
Not 1 or 2 or 3, but 4. 4 stones.
Is that the Fifth Element?
That is.
Okay.
That would have been interesting. Huh.
But he, it all came down to a union dispute because of the
fucking unions.
It was the one of the Writers Guild or it must have been the Actors Guild, but because this movie was outside of the production of union workers or whatever. What are you laughing at?
I just saw that you have Michael Jackson as Jar Jar Binks.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
He wanted to play Jar Jar Binks in makeup like he did in the Thriller video. That was his thing. And then when I guess he was introduced, there was
Misa, have you photographed my genitals?
Ahmad Best. It was Ahmad Best, George Lucas, and someone else had gone to the concert, and they went backstage and met him. And he's like, "This is the guy that's playing Jar Jar," and Michael Jackson's like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
I could do better than that.
And he's like, "What's that about?" Because he wasn't in on the whole thing. Because originally Ahmad Best was just the stand-in as the character, and later did the voice.
Yeah.
And then he learned after that, George Lucas filled him in. He's like, "Well, he wanted to play the character, but George knew he was doing complete CGI, no makeup, no." So Michael Jackson's like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
It's got to be the most interesting FACPAtoid we've ever had.
Yeah.
Misa hair's on fire. Misa not kidding. Sorry.
Misa say drink Pepsi.
Oh, this has been a long episode, boys. I appreciate your time.
Hey, I woke up at 4:30 this morning and I'm here for you.
Oh man. All right.
So that's it. That's all for the FACPAtoid. You got 2 this week. We'll go back down to 1 next week. I would like to say thank you for listening. And until next time, remember, next week we start covering Rebels Season 4, Part 1.
And never tell us the odds.
And in our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
We have spoken! Monkey poo.